What is up, guys? Mike Wang here. Today I'll be going over the charts, explaining why I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. Now, before we begin, don't forget to smash that like button to support me on YouTube. So first thing first, I want to show you what the top of a market cycle looks like. Now, many people have been saying that 64K was the top, and I kept saying that we'll be breaking all-time high levels of $64,000 again sometime this year. Now, if you want to check out my long-term outlook on Bitcoin and why I think there's a high probability that we could reach $204,000 by June 2021, make sure to check out my video by clicking the top right corner. Now, if we look at this comparison chart of the market cycle top in 2013 and the market cycle top of 2017 and the current chart we have today on the daily, you'll notice that something is a little off. So a lot of people have been saying that this over here was a blow off top, meaning that it was an extension from the top, demonstrating that the asset was overbought and that now this is simply a retracement back to the resistance level where we are forming a lower high, just like we did for the market top of 2013 and 2017. But I completely disagree. Look at the market top of 2013. It took about 41 days, so that's a little over a month before we saw a sharp drop and then a dead cat bounce right up to form lower highs. Now, if we look at 2017 as well, we also saw a sharp drop that was followed almost immediately by a dead cat bounce, and this whole thing lasted only 20 days. So it roughly takes about a month for us to see a market top and then a dead cat bounce forming a lower high. But in the case of the current market situation over here, we can see that there was a whole phase of distribution that took place for months. It started in February of 2021, and we saw this last up to May. So this entire phase was a phase of distribution. And when we broke down, instead of bouncing immediately back up to form a new lower high, we actually consolidated between the 30 to 40K range where we broke out of that. And now it's simply a retest of the previous now support turned resistance. So to say that these three market structures are the same and that we have seen the top at 64K just doesn't make sense to me. We took over 4 months for this entire thing to happen, for us to form a lower high on the daily chart. So the price action doesn't suggest that the structure is the same at all. Now, moving on to Bitcoin's weekly chart, I think the most important thing to refer to in this chart are the Fibonacci retracement levels. So drawing a Fibonacci retracement from the market top of 64K down to 30K, we can see that we revisited the 61.8% zone at 51K, and on the weekly we actually closed above 42.5K, which is actually very good news for bulls. If we look at the indicators, we can see that the RSI, or the relative strength index, is currently trading at around 51, which means that it's neutral. And while the MACD is forming a potential death cross, we know from past historical price action that that doesn't necessarily indicate that the market top is in. As you can see, we had a death cross take place somewhere around September of 2020, and look what happened ever since. So these death crosses on the MACD on the weekly can always get negated. And moving on to the daily chart, this is the chart that I've been referring to for a while, and I think it's a good idea just to recap what happened in the earlier half of 2021. So counting Elliott waves, we formed an impulse wave of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, moving up to the new all-time high level of 64.8K. And we can see that it formed a rising wedge pattern, or an ending diagonal if you're an Elliottician, where we had a phase of distribution at the top before we broke down. And again, just like I said, we had a phase of consolidation, a phase of reaccumulation at 30 to 40K, and we broke out of that range recently where we started forming higher lows and higher highs on a channel, and now we're sort of on a downtrend, forming higher lows and lower lows. Lower highs and lower lows. And now a lot of people are bearish, and I can kind of understand that because they're focusing solely on this area, saying that prices are forming lower highs and lower lows. And we had this bearish engulfing candle, which I can understand is very bearish. We can see from the length of the candle that there has been more sell pressure going on, but that couldn't be further from the truth, because from a bigger scale we're actually forming higher lows and higher highs. So this was the first low that we formed, and this could be said as the second low that we formed. So technically it's still a higher low, and we can anticipate a move up, forming a higher high from this point over here. And from a bigger picture as well, we can see that we broke down from the distribution phase, we consolidated, we broke out of that range, and the test and us testing 40K, for specifically speaking 40.7K, is actually just a retracement where we're revisiting that support zone before we can bounce back up to test all-time high levels and potentially break out of this range as well. So if we look at the indicators, we can also see that on the daily, the relative strength index is also pretty neutral at 45. We can also see that the MACD hasn't been able to form a proper golden cross, and this could indicate that there is a lack of momentum, but this isn't too concerning given how bullish the overall macro picture is. And also, a lot of people using Elliott waves have a count that moves down to 20K, some 18K, and down even to like 7K, but this just makes zero sense to me, because that just reflects zero understanding of fundamentals in use. And it's also reflecting zero understanding of how market cycles work. So from a larger picture, like I said, extending cycles and diminishing returns are still in the picture. This move, while it has been crazy for the past few weeks, doesn't mean that the bigger overall bullish picture has been ruined. I could still see how this plays out to be reverse head and shoulders continuation. Now, moving on to the 4-hour chart, I've drawn the parallel channels here forming higher lows and higher highs, and then this is the recent one that we've been going through where we are forming lower highs and lower lows. And it seems like we currently tested the bottom at 40.7K, which is also a very, very important support line that has been tested before on the daily chart throughout time as well. And we bounced twice on the monthly open at around 41.5K. Now, what I would want to see here is a break above 44.8K and the test of the monthly close at around 47K. So a break above 44.8K would also indicate a potential bull flag pattern being valid on the larger picture of the daily chart as well. So we had an uptrend, we're consolidating within a parallel channel, and if we manage to break out of that parallel channel, we could potentially see a move up to 47K and then probably 51K, where the 0.618 Fibonacci resistance remains at. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart now, I can see a case where a double bottom on the Bitcoin dominance chart takes place, and we see Bitcoin soaring alone. Now, combining this with my projection on Bitcoin, that would mean that we see Bitcoin rally upwards and suck the life out of other altcoins. And this is good because Bitcoin paves way for other alts first. And then when Bitcoin dominance reaches a certain level, like 63%, which I have in mind for now here, we can see an altcoin season take place afterwards. Now, does this necessarily mean that all other alts are going to lag? The answer is no, because altcoins like Solana, Avalanche, Luna, basically the alts that have been moving up regardless of Bitcoin's price action will continue to move upwards. But of course, I could be wrong and we could see a breakdown to like 35% levels, but I would say that that's much less probable. And what we're more likely to see is a potential double bottom formation taking place here, moving upwards, where Bitcoin rallies alone. So that is it for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful in explaining why I'm still bullish on Bitcoin and why we should see this as a bullish structure as opposed to looking at this as a phase we are at before we move down to 18K or even 7K. So if you guys like this video, make sure to drop a like below. And if you guys want to see more content like these where I break down Bitcoin's chart and later some other coins as well, make sure to subscribe for more quality content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.